Feel you free to write in the chat from where you are connecting, your country, the name of your school or university, to get in touch while I'm opening this event. I would kindly ask Roberto to share the slide in a way that it's better for all the participants to join, to follow. So today we had the fourth meetup of the European Training Foundation Club on teaching with AI. We started in June this year, and this is the last operational meetup with two distinguished guest speakers that I'm going to introduce briefly soon. And I'm not sure I see your the screen, Roberto, but okay, please, in the meantime, in just the opening. And then we have a moment, as usual, where we work in groups. Perfect, thank you very much. And where we present, I'm very glad and proud of this, the first draft, complete draft of our guide for teachers. This is something that we prepared with the contribution of all the members, of many members, and primarily of the content coordinators. I will go deeper afterwards. And just some practical information to start. So basically, of course, this is an online event, only in English. I'm very sorry, but this is to simplify and to keep it cheap to some extent, the event. But it's going to be recorded. So if you don't want to be in the recording, please switch off the camera. But I hope very much you consider to keep it open in a way that we see our faces. And of course, please keep closed your microphone unless you want to intervene. And we will do our best to, let's say, give some space for questions. Even if there is no time, I'm pretty sure the speaker of today, we will have the opportunity to, let's say, answer to your question afterwards. So I would advise to use the chat as first means to address your question, your observation, and where you are connecting from. Very quickly, this is the agenda for today. A very interesting intervention we have today. One is it's about the use of generative AI, the design of a hybrid model of teaching. Okay. And then we have, I'm going to introduce the speaker afterward. Then with Ariana, we are going really to look, to touch and see practical example of how, let's say, artificial intelligence can really boost creativity. And to use antagonist AI, then we will explore perhaps more about this use of artificial intelligence. Then, as I said, I'm going to introduce the output we create, a very practical guide. I hope you find it very smart. We will share a PDF of the draft, and we are really looking forward to your comments and suggestions to improve. We will split in 3 breakout groups. And we will focus on specific aspects. Then we will have, as usual, the reporting session. Please close your microphone, everyone. Thank you. Okay. So, and this is I'm sorry, but there is some noise. Okay, perfect. Hello? Okay, okay, thank you very much. So this is basically what we are going to do. Let me recall briefly our community, our club. The club is a space to grow and inspire educators, as well as provide direction for those who want to make a start with artificial intelligence. So we really aim to, can we go to the next slide, please? Okay. Okay, just to highlight that, okay, there is a community in ETF that is about innovation in teaching and learning. And of course, we could not have a subgroup focusing on artificial intelligence. two numbers. We are more than 350 members in this club from 50 countries. So it's quite really international, this group. Next slide, please. And this is our work plan. What we have done from June to December is quite impressive. As you can see now, the column November and December with the content coordinators, basically we focus on an output. There is a lot of material about artificial intelligence, a lot of curiosity. So what we wanted to really to gather some concrete elements to get started, and I hope you will find the output quite interesting. So by the end of the year, we want to make this working paper available and share, and will be presented the final version early next year in a new event. Next slide. So now I'm, let's say, very glad to present the two speakers of today. So the first speaker is Maried Pratske. I hope my pronunciation is good enough. I'm not Irish, but okay, I made my best. The title is Generativism, the new hybrid model of teaching with AI. Maried has a really impressive CV and has been working at the intersection of digital technology and education for 25 years as a researcher, designer, consultant on digital programs, author and speaker. She recently published a book on generative AI and education, and we are going to share the link in the chat. So thanks also for this important resource. And to make it short, is coordinating digital education at the University of Manchester, visiting professor at the London School of Economics, Data Science Institute, research and fellow at the USA National AI Institute for Adult Education and Online Learning. We will share also a link with the full information about Maried. So Maried, with no hesitation, I would pass the floor to you for your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's lovely, lovely to be here. Wow, what a great group. I'm delighted. Thank you very much for the invitation. And I know that I don't have a ton of time, so I am going to get started and just start sharing my slides. Let me just find it. This is always the bit where
yeah.
The little pause. Okay, and now, where is my slide? This is always the tricky part. Someone has to make an AI to do this. Right, can you see that?
Indeed,
okay?
we might have some help always.
Is that, you got my screen up now?
Yes, perfectly.
Wonderful. Okay. Right, so that's me. We've already got that. That little QR code on the bottom right links you to a personal website, which has the links to everything. It's got the links to the book. It's got the links to my YouTube channel where I put up recordings of talks that you can watch for free. There's nothing there that's not openly available. So feel free, and it links to my university workbooks, etc. So that's your that's your best guide to everything. I'm going to start my timer so I don't run over time, which I tend to sometimes do.
It happens.
Here we go. So I'm just going to start with this. Generative AI is, of course, the latest and greatest version of AI, which we've had since the mid-1950s. And in the mid-1950s, this group of academics met in Dartmouth College in the United States. A bunch of professors and academics got together with this goal to create intelligent machines, which for them meant, well, for us too, means machines that learn, machines that improve through their interaction with us using natural human language. And those two elements, the fact that they learn and they improve, they are intelligent in that sense, and the fact that they use natural human language now for generative AI, those are really, really important for us as teachers, trainers, educators, because it means we don't need to learn to code anymore. It means that as non-technical experts, we can also use these intelligent machines now in a way that we weren't able to do before. So an awful lot has happened in the last 2 years or so since ChatGPT 3.5 burst onto our scene. And of course, a lot more has happened since 2017, which was when transformer architecture was created. Transformer architecture is the architecture that enables the scaling of these generative models, these large language models. So really, we started in 2017, but I think for education, we started really in 2022. That's when we all woke up and realized what was going on. So in short, I have this slide here, which was basically my way that I try to summarize those two important things that have happened in the last 2 to 7 years, really, which is that on the one hand, those intelligent machines that those wonderful AI developers and scientists have been working on, they have become more intelligent. And those words on the left, autonomy, memory, multimodality, those are all of the affordances of these machines now, these models. They have context windows, they have bigger parameters, they are now enabling personalization, they are working faster, they have more compute, and they are now becoming autonomous in some cases as well. So on the one hand, you have growing intelligence, and all of those acronyms refer to the different model types. So on the bottom, you have LLM for large language model. We all know that term. But there's also large multimodal model. There's language processing units, which is slightly different, but it belongs on there because it underlines one of the models called Grok. There's now listening while speaking models, which are what help enable things like voice mode, which means that you can speak to your AI and it will answer you back and you can interrupt it and you can have a natural human conversation. There is large action models, which are models that allow the machine to take action on your behalf. So that is starting to become quite important. And if you have heard of something like the Rabbit R1 or now the Rabbit R2, the latest version of the device that was created last year, that is a device that integrates both a large language model, but also a large action model. So the idea is it'll start to take action for you. So those are things to be aware of because they are all part of this journey towards creating intelligent machines that we can work alongside. And the one on the top on the left there is large world model. And that is really important because it is the step towards, as you see there on the top right of the screen, the goal of AI scientists, which is to create this thing called artificial general intelligence or super intelligence. There's all kinds of different descriptions for this, but the basic idea is that this is a general intelligence that is able to do everything that we can do as human beings now. Right now, we have lots of different narrow intelligences, but they're starting to become more intelligent, and this is the goal at the end of the day. So that's the backdrop, right? That's the journey we're on, and this is what we've seen happening over the last 2 years or so. Then in September of this year, we got a new model called the O1 model, which is part of a new strain of models that are called the reasoning models. And this, some say, is really just a new branch of generative AI model development that indicates, again, that these machines are becoming more intelligent. And this is important because we can see through things like this on the top of that screen that I've just popped up, thought for 65 seconds. What these machines now do, these new reasoning models, is they are trained to think through a problem. They don't just simply generate as quickly as possible, but they stop and they think, they tell you what their approach was, and then they give you the answer. So these machines are not just spitting out. They are not just so-called stochastic parrots. They are machines that are actually starting to display some type of reasoning, thinking ability. Very interesting interview with Terence Tao, who's been reviewed, talked about just last week. There's a new article out of the Atlantic magazine, and he's been described as the world's most important or best mathematician. So take that as you like, but he's an important figure. And O1 is very much meant to work on logic problems, mathematics problems. He said that his experience trying out this model was something like working with a graduate student who wasn't great, but that he said that he could see that the model was improving and that it was going from being an incompetent graduate student to maybe a actually incompetent graduate student to a competent graduate student, and that he could see that within a couple of iterations, this tool would actually be useful in the same way as having a PhD level graduate student working alongside him. This is tremendously important for education, for teaching, for learning, for training, Because imagine a world now where we have AIs that are becoming intelligent enough that they can work alongside us, that we can assign them tasks in a research lab, in a classroom, wherever you are, where that AI will now be working with you and will be helping you at that level of a PhD student. And if you needed any further convincing, you will recall that the two latest Nobel Prizes in physics and chemistry, respectively, both went to AI scientists, right? Of course, Geoffrey Hinton, everybody will know his name, the so-called godfather of AI, very, very famous for the backpropagation algorithm, but also still very, very much around, even though he's retired. He's giving a lot of talks these days, talking about his fears about AI, but also explaining how they work. So he won the Nobel Prize for Physics, and then Demis Hassabis from Google DeepMind for his incredible work on AlphaFold, Google's AlphaFold, which allows us to predict protein structures. And there are now millions of people using this model. The reason I have this slide up is because I want to make it clear that what's happening as these machines become more intelligent, more capable, is that what's also happening is our disciplines, whatever it is that we teach to students, are also changing. And they are becoming not just about our disciplinary expertise, but about how our disciplinary expertise is changing as a result of our interaction with AI. And that interaction is more and more about interacting with a presence than a tool. Now, this is an image of Figure's O1 robot, which now speaks with GPT's voice, that appears, that takes orders, that can have a conversation in natural human language with the person standing in front of it, and will then act on those orders. That's the most dramatic example. There's also avatars, there's assistants, there's tutors, there's chatbots, there's agents. But the most important point to get from this is that AI is now interacting with us as a presence in our world. And that is important to us because that presence acts in certain ways. It can be creative, it can be unpredictable, it can be very naughty, but it can also be very productive. It's multilingual. It works in every language. It sees, it hears, it speaks. It is integrated into all of our software, our hardware, the machines that we work with, and soon our smart devices. That is starting to happen. We also, as I've shown, we have multiple model types. So this presence, this machine intelligence, this presence that we are working with, this is radically different from the digital technologies that we have used in the past. And it means we have to think differently about technology now in education. Anyone who does teacher training will be familiar with this framework. This is the TPACK framework from Punya Mishra and his colleagues. And Punya Mishra and his colleagues last year wrote an article where they said they needed to update this framework, which is all about what the three key areas that teachers need to be aware of when they're training educators. And as they say, you cannot think about it in terms of summarizing information, but now in this idea of it as a presence. Okay, so this is really, really a key and important moment, I think, and recognition and update from Mishra himself. So this is the idea that I've been working with for the last 2 years, really, and it's fundamental, and it's a strain across the book I've just written. But this is something I wanted to make clear for this webinar as well, because in the conversations that I see about AI, generative AI, specifically in education, there's an awful lot of talk about it as a tool, and there's an awful lot of talk about it in the context of ed tech. And I think that's because we as educators, we have learned to use technology, and we have learned about technology, often from the way it has appeared in education institutions, as an ed tech product, as a tool. But this is different. AI is different. AI is not ed tech. AI is a GPT. And in this case, GPTs, meaning generative pre-trained transformers, they are also general purpose technologies in the same way that electricity, books, and the internet are general purpose technologies. So the reason I'm stressing that is it is up to us to figure out what to do with it and how to use it. And that is why AI literacy is so, so important. So a lot of the wrapper tools that we see on the market for education, they are just that. They are nice wrappers over an LLM, over a language model, over a multimodal model that helps us to use it. They come with templates that make it easy to use, but in a way, they take away our agency and our expertise as educators, as trainers who decide what we might want to create with AI. So the reason I'm stressing this is because, as far as I'm concerned, this is why AI literacy is about more than understanding simply ethics and risks and all of those really important topics that, of course, we need to understand when we're using AI. But more than that, AI literacy means actively learning to work directly with this technology. And for that reason, I say learning agility is actually your most important skill. It's that you are going to have to learn and keep learning, because generative AI is going to keep changing and keep improving. So I have an image there of someone fishing, because this is the metaphor I think about, which is that it's not just that we want to give you a plate of fish and chips, I'm in England, a ready-made meal, but instead we want to train teachers and train educators to learn to fish, because that's the skill they actually need so they can continue to feed their brains and keep learning. So what does that mean for me? For me, that means that our interaction with AI changes what we need to know. And so I have updated Punya Mishra's TPAC framework and instead made it about the interaction with AI, to show that now by interacting with AI, our pedagogy must change. It is not just about pedagogical knowledge of our subject area, but it is about how we interact with AI, the intelligence in the machine, the way that our interaction with it creates something new. So we need an AI pedagogy that is about pedagogical intelligence, about this interaction between humans and AIs. Same thing with content knowledge. It becomes content intelligence. Same thing with technological knowledge. It becomes actually computational intelligence. So these are new skill sets. These are new areas for teachers that I think we need to be thinking about when we think about AI in training and learning and education. And very briefly, because I know I have about 2 minutes left, I'm going to flip through the rest of the slides quite quickly, but just to say they are all in the book and they are all in other presentations. So this is just to show you where I've gone with this, and you can then take it forward yourself. First of all, in training, this is about direct learning. So on the one hand, you have developers that have model training on the left of that screen, but we share a language. We share a language because we share this idea that we can train the model and work with AI directly to get what we want from it, whether it is prompt engineering, using retrieval augmented generation, whether it is creating bots and tutors, setting temperature, using prompting techniques like chain of thought prompting. These are all examples of human interaction with AI to get what you want from it. And very importantly, the reason I call my concept generativism is because it's not just about generative AI. It's about generative learning. And this comes from a learning theory from the 1970s, which stresses this idea of learning as sense making. And for me, this is fundamental because I see an awful lot too about criticism about AIs that hallucinate or say things that are incorrect. And for me, actually, I turn that on its head and I say, this is an opportunity for learning. This is an opportunity for sense making. By making the connections, all of the stuff that we know about how we learn, through making connections, through constructing understanding, this is the way we should be approaching learning with generative AI. Not from the perspective of just expecting it to output something perfect, quite the opposite, but interrogating it critically throughout. So this is how I ended up with generativism. This is the idea of generating knowledge through active learning designed and delivered in collaboration with AI. And there's lots of sub examples here that I'll just pop up here, little parts of the definition, where we can do it, how we can do it, all of the different roles that AI can take on. But the key idea is that this is about collaboration with AI.
Mhm.
And this is just a little link at the end, just in case you want to delve into it a little bit more in more detail. That's the QR code for the book, which now I've realized is in the chat anyway. But these are some of the key ideas that I've put forward and that I think that will hopefully help educators interact with generative AI, integrate it into their learning and their teaching, but in a way that is critical and that is generative from the start. And that is it from me. Thank you very
Married,
much.
Thank you very much for your presentation and for sharing the link also to the book where I had a glance of the book and I found very, very interesting. And I have just a quick question. Then there is a question in the chat. If you, I would address both question and pass you the floor for a quick answer to possibly both of the questions. So first of all, it's what is my takeaways. It's really this learning agility that teachers has to take care and develop this skill, which requires some, I would say, reskilling, upskilling, and even unlearning on some practices that we had in the past. Now, my question is about how we can use AI to support a shift from a focus on, let's say, learning as an output, as a learning as a process. I'm thinking, for example, in assessment, from a shift from summative to formative assessment. This is my question, and this is related to this transformative nature of artificial intelligence. So, how we can have really an innovation in pedagogy. And the second question is from Ayesha. First of all, thank you to all writing in the chat where you are connected. It's quite impressive. We have from Australia, from EU, and ETF member states. So thank you for this information. Ayesha is asking, what role do parents play in the overall ecosystem, especially in reference to the TPAC framework? The floor is back to you, Mariette.
Was the question, the second one, what role do parents play?
Yes, I think it's about if we think about using AI out in primary education, where the parents have an important role in the end.
Okay, so first I'll start with the learning as presence, as learning as sorry as process. I've got presence in my mind now, and this is always, frankly, this is always the question that comes up almost immediately because we all worry about assessment. And of course, we know that when Gen AI came on the scene, the first thing to be disrupted was assessment because it was the first thing that Gen AI could do efficiently. It's funny, I listened to a talk yesterday, I can't remember who it was now, but the comment was that the fields that are going to be most immediately disrupted are the fields where AI can do the work most easily. So for example, I've been watching software engineering very closely, and software engineering is already going through a huge shift. We know from last year, cultural and creative industries has also gone through a huge shift, a lot of disruption there. And essentially what's kind of happened, and education, right? For us in education, the shift has been because, or is starting to happen because of the threat to writing, right? And written assessments. And of course, I feel very sorry for all of the writing and writing instructors and essay-based learning or essay-based assessment, because you're frontline in the same way that the cultural and creative industries are, in the same way that software engineering is. So just to give a lesson from those two fields, they have shifted their practice from the initial resistance in the exact same way that we've seen it in education to integration. We have seen it from Stack Overflow collapsing as everybody went to GPT to then Stack Overflow creating Overflow AI. We have seen it in the media and the cultural and creative industries when we've gone from a strike last year in Hollywood to now literally celebrities signing up to license their voice to use. You know, the shift has gone from resistance to integration. So I think in education, this is a clear signal that the ways that we assess have to change in the same way to integrate the technology. Generative assessment is something I talk about a little bit in the book, dynamic assessment. And we are starting to see, for example, the OECD in 2025 is doing an experiment with their PISA program, where rather than asking students to complete an exam where they have to come in with the memorized learning, they are allowing them, in fact, they're asking them to use an AI chatbot in their exam. So that they can use the AI to get the foundation knowledge they would otherwise have to remember. And then their exam is not about showing how they've remembered, but it's showing them how they are implementing critical thinking to answer the questions. That is the shift we need to make, I believe. Yeah.
Thank you.
I hope that
And
helps.
concerning the second question, very briefly, if you can answer in a couple of minutes. Thank you.
Parents. So I will duck this one a little bit in the sense that I work with adults mostly. And I recognize that there's a huge concern for parents working with children with high risk AI. You know, I will also duck it a little bit by saying that the EU AI Act is the strongest regulation that we have in the world right now, I believe, in terms of how we're going to deal with AI. So on the one hand, I think for the last 2 years, we've worried a lot about how we as users, parents, users, have had to regulate for our children or for our students. So on the one hand, in a way, we're looking now, I think within the next year or two, by 2025, 2026, where EU regulations are going to govern how we use this. So for example, in Ireland, we have 9 new bodies that have just been created to help with AI, generative AI integration across society, how it's going to work. So
Mhm.
to a degree, the governments will dictate it and will guide us, but you're absolutely right that educators are going to have to know what to do, and parents are going to have to know what to have to do. To be honest with you, I put this on institution leaders. I don't think
Okay.
it's fair to put it on teachers alone. I think institution leaders now need to be the stakeholders and have the conversations with government, regulatory agencies, people in Brussels, elsewhere, and figure out the guidelines for their teachers, because it is, for the last 2 years, it has been educators bearing the brunt of this. And I think
Indeed.
it's really, really time now for those institution leaders to step up and start providing the safety and the guidance that parents and educators need. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mariette. And it was really very interesting, your presentation. And so there is also a question about the translation of your book. We may ask to GPT, or I mean, you may answer to in the chat about the translation of the book in other languages. Nonetheless, now I would move to, so thank you, Mariette. I would switch to the second speaker of today. Um, uh, of course, we are realizing the role and the responsibility. Mario was mentioning about it. So we need to say what I'm responsible for. This is very important. The school has a role. The country and the governance overall internationally have an important role and has to clarify what is my responsibility as a teacher. Very good point, Mario. Now I'm very glad to introduce Ariana Blazic. I have to say, I met Ariana in Skopje in one of my missions in the Western Balkans. And I was really impressed by her presentation, so I asked to join us in one of the meetup of the club. Let me briefly introduce Ariana Blazic. Is a freelance teacher, trainer, and course designer. She is based in Zagreb, Croatia. She has designed and led numerous workshops and online courses for European teachers about the pedagogical use of digital technologies and AI in education. She's member of the European Commission expert groups for digital education content and for explainable AI, a very important concept. So she's a co-author of the Croatian National Curriculum for English and Foreign Languages and the National Curriculum for the cross-curricular use of ICT in Croatia. So Ariana, I would pass to you the flow and the screen for your presentation, which title is Sparking Creativity with the Generative AI Tools. So let's touch the ground and see some concrete example about the use of AI in teaching and learning.
Thank
Ariana?
you. Thank you very much, Alessandro. Thank you very much for the invitation. It's a huge pleasure to be here with you and Myreed and all the colleagues from Europe and beyond. And I would like to share my screen now. Just a moment.
I noticed that we have participants even from Australia.
Oh,
Welcome to everyone.
that's nice. Welcome, Australia. Okay, so my topic is sparking creativity with generative AI tools. Maybe I will start with this famous or infamous tweet by an author some months ago from spring. this year. In this tweet, she mentioned that she wanted to do her laundry and dishes, so that she wanted AI, sorry, she wanted AI to do laundry and dishes, so that she could focus on creative and artistic expression. So now my question would be, should we opt either for AI or creativity? Does that mean that AI and creativity are mutually exclusive? Or maybe should we delegate entire tasks to AI? Or maybe we can use AI to create together with us. And we have heard something like that from in Myreed's presentation as well. And my question would also be, is AI creative per se? And I would like to give you some answers to these questions based on my experience in this short talk. But before I do, I have a confession to make. And my confession is that I can't draw. Here you can see my drawing, my attempt at drawing a meadow with colorful flowers, with a cat and a sun shining. Of course, it doesn't look very nice. So yeah, I can't draw, but I can write. And I think I can express myself quite well. And here you can see a description of what I saw in my mind's eye. And then I asked AI to help me be creative, and AI created it for me. In fact, it created many different versions, like this one, or even added some elements that I didn't even ask for. So you see, AI can do many different things, and it's all about imagination. What we can think about, what we can express in words, AI can create for us. And here are some more, I would say, works of art that I created together with AI. Without AI, I would have never embarked on this creative task at all. So creating something that exists, like here on this slide, you can see some fairy tale selfies, and they lived happily ever after. So it was just based on my description, on my prompt, like here you can see the Cinderella and her two sisters, and the Fiona and Shrek, and you can do it with any fairy tale. Also, in this image, you can see something that doesn't exist, created by a teacher who really let her imagination run wild. Here is Franz Kafka dancing with Taylor Swift in a green meadow while teddy bears are falling from the sky. Or maybe this one, a colorful dragon that emerges from a lake, or a black cat doing skateboard tricks, or also here Snow White and her dwarfs as astronauts. All these images can be found on this Padlet board. This is I would say, an AI image generator creativity board. It contains more than 400 AI generated images by teachers from all over Europe. And I do this activity as a task in my trainings to introduce AI image generations to teachers. But then this activity, in fact, didn't only spark creativity with this image generation, it also sparked creativity with activities that they can do in the classroom. For example, language teachers had a great idea that instead of bringing pictures to the classroom that their students would use to describe the picture, they can now ask their students to think about an image and then write it down and see if AI will see the same way as they see. So how can they modify it? How can they make it better? How can they improve it? This is all about learning a language. Or maybe if you teach any other subject, you can, for example, introduce it at the beginning of the when you introduce a new concept and then ask students what they know about this topic. Or at the end as an exit ticket, and then they show you what they have learned in the lesson. You can also discuss why AI has produced this particular image and what they should have changed or they wanted to change. AI can also be used to support diverse learners, and this is an example of making concepts visual. So for this activity that I used in an online course that has just finished, and I know many of the participants in this webinar have also been participants in my course. So I have written some instructions, guidelines, step-by-step instructions how to use a certain tool. And what I do always, I express it in words. But with AI, you can easily express it as an infographic. So it took me only maybe a few seconds for AI to generate this infographic or this one. I use the tool Napkin AI. And here in this slide, you can see how the participants of this course, AI for Inclusion, used to visually express what they think about AI for inclusion. It would have taken them hours or even days to create such infographics, but with AI, this is really a time saver. But what is more important is that all these visuals can be modified because AI is not perfect. AI will not generate exactly what I want, but it will give me a start that I can then tweak, that I can edit, and I can reach the final result the way I want it. Or look at this example. This is a math task that I did together with the Croatian Academic and Research Network here in Croatia for 7th grade students. You know, when you see this math task, many students will say, oh, this is too complicated. I can't do that. But if you use AI to think about some creative ideas that are aligned with students' interest, you might get some different results, the same task, but structured a little bit differently. For example, for students who like fantasy world, AI created a moonlit ball with Eldoria, a princess who is preparing a magical welcome drink, and she needs dragon onions and goblin cucumbers. Or for students who are interested in science, there is a group of astrobiologists preparing a Martian farming simulation, so they are looking for anti-gravitational onions. Or it doesn't have to be vegetables at all. It can be strings, silver strings for violin or copper strings for viola, because the musical school harmony is organizing an activity and want to buy new strings for their instruments. So all these activities were created by Magic School AI in a matter of seconds. But I must say, I have another confession to make. It's not all made by AI. It was also made by me because I didn't like all the ideas that it gave me. I like, for example, the currency in the fantasy world, Elven Ducats, but not in science. There was like science points. It didn't look right to me. So I invented Galaxy tokens. So it made this story actually inspired me to be more creative. And so I think what we need to do in our AI-shaped world is to co-create, to co-collaborate, as Myrit said, with AI. Because our lives have changed, and also we have seen a lot of changes in our teaching, considering lesson preparation. You mentioned also assessment, and there was a question about assessment. Yes, but we also need to think about how we will use AI to assess our students transparently. But also learning has changed, you know, and it has to change. And just recently, I saw two posts by educators from different countries on social media, and they both actually have had the same topic. It was, can I talk to the phone? Not can I play with the phone? Can I talk to the phone? And the first one was by a Swedish educator who mentioned that his four-year-old daughter wanted to talk to her to the phone. And then he explained, she speaks Swedish, Spanish, English with ChatGPT. They make up all sorts of games and play. Yes, she is 4. And if you read further, you will see that he also mentioned that he, of course, needs to monitor this conversation. The other one was by Marco Neves, an educator from Portugal. He says nowadays students don't Google about something, they chat about something. And it is indeed, we are living in the age of chatbots. And so our teaching and our learning also needs to be adapted to this era of chatbots. And chatbots can be seen as intelligent tutors. They are at the bottom, so to say. We know that intelligent tutoring systems have been around for many years now, but not accessible to all students. However, with chatbots, I think we are getting there slowly, but we are. Because chatbots are actually accessible to all students, of course, accessible to all students who have access to the internet and computers. But here I mean the languages. They are available in any language. Even if a chatbot is designed in English, you can speak to it in Croatian, for example, or Italian. And also, most importantly, they can be made by teachers. So they are really easy and quick. They can make as many chatbots as they want for any concept that they are teaching in the classroom. And what's more, anyone can be a chatbot. It can be a historic figure, a scientist. For example, if you are teaching about Newton's law, then why not create Newton, who will chat with the student and make learning personalized for the student. It will be based on the questions and answers by a chatbot, by the student. Or maybe from literature, someone fictional. Why not create a chatbot, for example, Hamlet or Harry Potter or whoever you can think of, or maybe even Santa Claus. And please, I'm happy to introduce to you my Santa bot that I have just created. He knows everything about Christmas traditions. But what's more, you see here, he can you can talk to him or it, and he can or it can talk to you. So it's also about diverse learners. It's about not only reading and writing, but also listening and speaking. So yes, here is a QR code. Take a screenshot now. I will post the link in the chat just after my presentation, but you can chat with it. I created in a matter of seconds, really, with this app, School AI, which is free, and any teacher can create as many chatbots as they want. I mentioned languages, how important this is, that we can translate instantly into so many different languages. My native language is Croatian. I speak English with an accent, but I can use AI to speak English perfectly or any other language. Now I would like you to listen to me speaking French, Spanish, Japanese, and many other languages for a minute. Let's go with it.
Bonjour, je suis Ariana,
I don't
passionnée
speak these
d'expérimenter
languages.
les
This is
outils
AI.
d'IA et les nouvelles technologies numériques. Et en ce moment, j'expérimente avec un excellent outil d'IA qui peut traduire des vidéos, mais de manière à reproduire la... Hola, Soy Ariana y a todos les gusta que experimente con tecnologías digitales
So
y
it's really
herramientas
my
de IA.
voice, the lips
Pruebo
are
una gran
moving.
herramienta de IA para traducir videos replicando la voz del hablante. Hoi, ik ben Ariana en iedereen weet dat ik graag experimenteer met digitale technologieën en AI-tools. こんにちは。私の名前はアリアナです。私はデジタルテクノロジーや AI ツールを利用して実験するのが好きなんです。今、Merhaba, adım Ariana.
So self-talk and
Herkes
it should
dijital
pay attention
teknoloji ve
to that.
yapay zeka deneylerimi sever. Ve şu anda konuşmacının sesini taklit 你好，我的名字是 Ariana。所有认识我的人都知道，我喜欢尝试数字机组和人工智能工具。而且现在我正在尝试一种很棒的 AI 工具。
So I made this with HeyGen Lab. So is this a threat, or do such things present new opportunities for language teachers and also interpreters? I think we should all learn how to use these new tools to enhance learning, to help students from different cultural backgrounds who are in our classroom. And once again, I would like to say that when we are learning about how to use a generative AI tool, we should also learn, and we should also understand when to use it and why to use it in the classroom. There are so many tools out there. There is an A for everything, really everything. You can have a look at this collection of mine. Here is a QR code. You will find different categories and with examples how they can be used in the classroom. And we really lag behind, so to say, because there are tools, AI tools coming out every single day. But it is fun. For me, it's really a lot of fun to experiment with all these tools, but always we have to ask ourselves as teachers, what is the impact of these tools on students' well-being and on their cognitive and socio-emotional development. And there are quite a lot of ethical concerns, not only accuracy, discrimination, and bias, privacy, for example, when students engage with the chatbot, manipulations and deepfakes, but also who is accountable for all these decisions made by AI. We want them to be transparent and also explainable, and that's what I am now working on as a member of this group on explainable and AI. And yeah, you talked about responsibility. I think teachers have been responsible ever since we have started using these AI tools, but also, as my read said, governments, institutions need to be responsible, and I would also add developers. They also need to be responsible, and we need to have explainable AI to know how certain decisions are made, and so that we can navigate our world safely, responsibly, and actively. My read mentioned learning agility, and this is also something that I would like to conclude with: never stop learning. As someone said long time before, and now it's more relevant than ever. Learn, unlearn, and relearn. And just a song made with AI. I don't know how to sing. I can't sing, but with AI, everything is possible. Okay, so you see, really everything is possible. Thank you so much. And if you have some questions, I'll be here with you. And thank you very much for this invitation.
Ariana, thank you very much for the presentation. You were really touching the ground, providing very concrete and inspiring and example on focusing on imagination, on how artificial intelligence is not about automation of tasks, so to eliminate, but also to really nurture our imagination. You are a great singer, actually, I realize, and you know so many languages. But this is really how, I don't think we have time for really a question because we are running a bit late. But what another takeaway from your presentation is about AI for inclusion. I think this is something. If you have different minorities in different languages, if you have some difficulties or different way of learning, you can really fit the gaps with AI, with tutoring and personalization. And this is something that is empowering our teaching and learning. This is great. So thank you very much, Arianna. I needed to switch and I will do a very short presentation of the output. So if we could, Roberto, take back the control of the screen. I have just a couple of slides to really move forward. So we had some very really inspiring presentation. We look a bit to AI, generative AI principle, and we also look at to practical solution, for example, for creativity, for imagination. So now we are at the end of the first 6 months of this journey of the club. So you may remember that we gave some homework to the club, and based on the input we receive, we collected with the let's say the content coordinators a guide. The title will be Unlocking AI in Education, a teacher guide to AI literacy. So there is let's say, a focus on AI literacy for teachers, but there is also some practical information to get started. Can we go to the next slide? So here, basically, the content leaders have, let's say, prepared something in a few pages to say what AI is in a nutshell. And basically to see artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, key concept, because we need to know more something basic element about what is artificial intelligence. The second part is about why and how integrate AI. This is a part that Tatiana, in one of the breakout group session that we are going, don't escape because we'll be work together quickly, half an hour, but why and how integrate. Start from the challenges, inclusion, to have more engagement in assessment for learning. Okay, then with Selçuk and Sahina, we will focus on learning resources and practices. We have collected, and this is a big thank you to all the contributors, we collected learning resources, so courses, tools, in a simple table, okay? And so we will discuss with Sahina and Selçuk about learning resources and practices. Last element is about AI literacy for teachers. Igil will have a breakout group that will focus on this. You may know already that in Paris in September, there was the presentation of a first conceptual framework to say, what does it mean to be digitally AI competent for a teacher? So there is the AI literacy framework. So who is going to join Igil is going to focus on this aspect. So without further ado, I would really now ask Roberto to take control and let's say prepare to split us in a breakout group. Know whether in the meantime, I would give in these 2 minutes the floor to Igil in 30 seconds, what you are going to do in your breakout group about AI literacy for teachers. In a minute.
Hello, Alessandro. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
So as Alessandro mentioned, like Arjan and Marriott also mentioned, AI literacy is really important, but it's not only about knowing the tools, but also, we need to like take actions. We need to like know how to integrate these tools. So together with my group, so we're going to just look at the AI literacy. Like, of course, we will also like mention the AI competency framework by UNESCO. So we'll try to learn, what kind of skills like teachers need to know in the digital era today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, Selçuk and Saina, one of you, can please introduce what you are going to discuss in your breakout group? Perhaps Saina or Selçuk?
Yeah.
Okay, go.
Who will start?
No.
Together.
Okay, I can start. During the process, we learned a lot of AI tools, and we will ask the participants which AI tools is important for you, which is beneficial for you, etc. And we prepare a document for it, and we have some questions for participants, and we are waiting them.
Okay, Saina, you want to add something, or
Yeah, thank you so much. We and Selçuk, we prepared some questions, as Selçuk has mentioned about questions. So we will try to understand the efficiency of our club works within the tools and platforms to be used in daily and educational process. Thank you.
Okay, in the meantime, I put the link to the PDF document where there is the current draft. You may refer to this during your moderation in the breakout group. Tatiana, the floor is yours for the why and how breakout group.
Yeah, thank you. So work group 3 will work and will try to walk you through 6 steps on how to integrate AI into pedagogy so that it meets your challenges. It is like on this problem-solving approach, I would say. Depending on the problems or issues or challenges you face, so how to select the proper AI and how to integrate it into your pedagogical activities and practices.
And to help Gilles, thank you, Tatiana. There was Evangelia that was sharing the competency framework. So it's another very useful link. So
In the
this
meantime,
is
we are ready. Yes, we can start.
yes, just
and I would suggest that we stay until 20 past. So
20 past, 20 minutes. Okay, just a final word. What you are receiving in the breakout group is what is in the draft guide that we prepared. So please have a look and provide now or afterward your comments in a way that along December we can finalize it according to your contribution. Okay, let's move, Roberto, to the breakout groups. So very briefly, I would say 2 minutes to finish on time to one of the moderator. I would start. I see next to me Tatiana. So Tatiana, please say briefly what we have done and what we can share.
Actually, we have went through very quickly, very fast through these 6 steps on how to integrate AI into educational practices based on challenges, based on needs, and based on, and we try to choose one as the variability of students and meeting the variability of students, how to select the tools, how to think about opportunities and limitations, how to identify the pain points, etc. So this is the process, and it is available for anyone in Canvas, which our participants were sharing and participating a little bit of interactivity. And then they will be provided the link to the resources, the templates, the ideation cards, the application cards, opportunity, possibility cards, which may be used individually or on organizational level in any country. You are welcome. This is we're here for.
Okay, so perhaps so this is something that are open resources. I just put the link to what Tatiana was referring to, the cards, to the canvas, to really guide your education community in a collective self-reflection process, starting from the challenge. We use it, we piloted in one international event, and we found it very effective to guide this complex process because we know that it's not easy. Selçuk, can you please brief what you have done in your breakout group?
Of course, we discussed the post about AI tool in the club in the breakout room. Different AI tool suggestions came from participants. These include Heijen, Gamma Napkin, Vidnox School AI, etc. And today Ariana mentioned about some of them. Nina mentioned that she developed her methodology knowledge in addition to AI tools. We also talk about Ariana and her team's diverse project and mentioned that it was very useful. Again, Nina mentioned about as a design teacher, she used AI tools to add tensions to her students' portfolios over 20%. This saved a lot of time. And after that, we discussed again some tools, and every participant gave information about some tools. That's it.
Thank you, Selçuk and Sahin. So, Roberto, I'm sure we will have a follow-up message where this table with the collected resources and practices will be shared. And please keep contributing. We aim to finalize the guide with your input in December. So it's great if you can really share additional information. Then I just read the message in the chat. If someone is interested in AI in teaching and learning math, please let me know. And this is a message from Bernard Dumont. Okay, so specifically on a subject, Bernard is really looking forward for other teachers and practitioners working on this subject. Okay, then Igil, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. So we talk about teacher competencies and we talk about AI literacy, like how to use it and what it can do. We also talked that like knowing about AI doesn't mean that like using AI all the time. So knowing about AI means that you know when not to use AI also. And like we also talk about the importance of critical thinking and the community of practice. Like teachers should just be learning from each other also, like not from the other maybe experts. And I think like Merit also mentioned like learning agility is really important. So now Gen AI is changing a lot, so you need to change and you need to be just learning very quickly. We talk about like knowing about instruction design, like for the teacher competencies. So like knowing about what kind of models worked for over 2 decades and like integrating them with AI, proficient use of technology, and being a lifelong learning as well. There was an advice, for ETF about like creating a MOOC for Gen AI, and the advice came from Guy Levy. He also talked about this, yeah. So like he thought that like ETF should just put emphasis on like using Gen AI more and maybe like creating a MOOC, for all the teachers, from now on. And we also talk about application of knowledge. A teacher should just know how to like know the subject, but also know in which careers will this be applied to, careers of the future. And we talk about AI concepts and emotional intelligence, like for the teachers. I think, and we also like mentioned something tool about AI Ranger. So I also share on the chat box too. So like a teacher when like assigning a homework, she should also know about, so for instance, like level 1, no AI, like level 2 AI only for editing. Level 3, yes, you can use AI. So, teachers should also maybe guide their students in this kind of way as well. I will now share the link again here. So if anybody wants to use it, it's a useful resource here. Okay.
Thank you, Gilles. So basically, we are almost finishing on time. I think Gilles is responsible for the AI literacy for teachers in the coordinator groups and content groups. So thanks a lot for the input. We reach also emotional intelligence with artificial intelligence. And this is really meaningful. We start and say it's much more than automating, simplifying. It's really a new way of teaching and learning. And this transformative capacity it's I think something that it's very clear in our club, I think, and we with this guide providing tools to really go deeper from the challenges into solutions that are meaningful in your educational context. We also identify the skills and competences that are necessary, and we are collecting resources. A basis for a MOOC, Gilles. Thank you for this information. So we are at the end. Sorry for being 5 minutes late, but we had a really very good input and discussion today. So this is the slide that we are going to share. We have an homework as well. So basically, we would like the participants today at the meeting, but also will be send this message to all the members to identify the top 3 most relevant resources. Arianna was sharing AI, one resource for AI for inclusion, but there are, so we would really like you to go through quickly. It's not long. It would take 15 minutes, I think, to go see which are the relevant resources. So we will have a small homework for you. Please contribute to this. So this is the final event. We are already in December, so next year is coming soon. So in December, with the input we receive, we will finalize the paper, the guide that will be shared with all members, including all the cards, the canvas that we presented, Tatiana was presenting. And we finish with a Happy New Year. So we have a 2025 full of very interesting challenges as well, but also with a very interesting topic. And we will see how to proceed from this 6 months. And we will come back to you also perhaps to collect ideas. One of these was, for example, this MOOC, and we have the basis for this MOOC, or we will see, we will make some proposal. But do not hesitate to make your need and suggestion. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you for the participation.
Thank you very
Goodbye.
much.
Thank you so
Take
much,
care.
everyone.
Thank
Happy
you.
New Year.
Bye.
Thank you, Alessandro. Thank you.
Thank
It's the
you, Gilles.
earliest
Thank you,
greeting of the
Thank
new
you.
year.
Ciao, Mimosa. Goodbye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Take care.
Goodbye.